Hey everyone, it's Melanie here, and today we are going to do the BookTube Oldie Tag. So if you're new here, my name is Melanie and I am a Christian booktuber. I'm so glad that you're here to join me. If you like this content, don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell. Click it to all so you get all the videos when they come in. Let's get to the video. The original content creator of this tag is Monica Kim, and I will link her video in the description below, but I found it through a couple other ladies and it was a really fun one to watch. And to celebrate my 6 years being on BookTube, I figured I'd come along with you and talk about the ups and downs of being on BookTube for so long. The first question that she has is, how long have you been a part of the community? Technically, I've been on BookTube since April 6 years ago. So this is my 6-year celebration and it is crazy. I was on it for quite a long time. I started getting amazing momentum and then all of a sudden my life kind of just went crazy. Not in a great way either. And it's kind of been really bumpy since then. And I've only just recently returned to BookTube and I'm so happy that I did. I've been missing it so much and I've longed to be back on BookTube from the day that I just kind of vanished from thin air. It was pretty bad. So I tried to stay a part of the community and I just wasn't able to manage that. I had a little bit of a hiatus, a little bit of a sabbatical, let's say, but I'm back. So that's exciting. I can't tell you how much when I started BookTube then, the incredible, I was like a whole world opened up to me, like, wow, I have so many people that I have so much of an interest in, that like the same things that I do and that are book nerds just like me, and I was so happy to be a part of that community. But what I noticed was lacking is Christian content. As much as I enjoyed the BookTube community at the time, I was really longing for people who were interested in books that I was interested in as a Christian reader and as a Christian myself. I wanted to be a part of that community. There was a burden on me, and that is why I started my BookTube channel, was just to bring awareness to the fact that there is a lot more content in books out there that is available to read that maybe some people weren't aware of in the BookTube community. I loved being in the community and I'm so happy that I started it 6 years ago. Question number 2 says, what was your biggest misconception before starting BookTube? That is a really great question. And there is a lot of misconceptions that I took on myself, that, you know, you have imposter syndrome about everything that you want to start. Most people do. And it definitely was, for me, something that I struggled with because I was watching a lot of like Jessie the Reader and just different people out there. They had a lot of energy, and I do too, but not in the same sort of caliber. My misconception was that I had to be like them, and because I couldn't edit, I felt like I had to talk so fast and like get things going and have this excitement, when really I didn't need to. I just needed to be myself. And that was one of the misconceptions that maybe I took upon myself, that wasn't there necessarily, but I definitely felt it, was that I had to almost, to be popular, to be as best as I could be on BookTube, to make these books exciting for other people, I had to be really kind of crazy. Like, I don't know if you watched a lot of those booktubers back then who have built some of the greatest careers I've seen. They had that excitement, that creativity that just was a little over the top. And so I felt like that misconception was that I felt like I had to be like that in order to be successful on BookTube, which is not true. I just needed to be myself. So that was a great misconception that I had. The other misconception that I had was, in order to like make it in BookTube, is that you had to be partnering and getting arcs and doing all these things. Yeah, that was a huge, great misconception for myself. For one, it's great when a publisher reaches out to you and wants to give you an arc. But here's the thing that I struggle with on that, is you're not really getting paid. They're sending out a book to you, and often, so now, even now, physical books are very hard to get. Because of my disability through dyslexia, audiobooks or physical copy books are the only things that I can really take with me. But being in Canada, a lot of the publishing houses, they don't want to send the books to you because of the shipping cost. But here's my issue with all of that. I am giving free advertisement. I've worked really hard for the BookTube channel that I've built and created, and I'm putting myself out there and people trust my opinions. One, I don't want to feel obligated to have a book review up that maybe I feel now I have to give a certain review on because they've given it to me. I don't want that pressure. The other thing is that they're not really paying me for my time. I do this out of my own time, my own creativity, and I don't get paid for it. It's something that I like to do, but I think I think it's almost like taking advantage a little bit of the booktubers out there that, especially that are small, they're building their platforms. You get these free books from different avenues to give a review for the authors, and I think that's great, but there's no compensation really for the time and the effort in creating this. So like, here's the other thing about the arcs, is they're not even like the full book. Like, this is an arc, and on the back, on the side of this, it says on sale date and then the date for 2019. It has the advanced reader copy portion, and then it has the advanced reader copy up here. For someone who is investing their time and effort into a book, and then they get a book that they can't resell, and they couldn't even give this book away really if they wanted to. There's just not really value in this book as much as a real full book would be. And then sometimes I would get an arc and it would literally be like paged, coiled arcs that I'm so grateful for, that I got to read those books early. But the misconception is that you've made it and this is great, and that you're almost getting compensated for your time and effort, when really I feel like it's not a full compensation that you're worth. That might be like a seriously unpopular opinion, but I feel like we're worth more than that. Also, the misconception is like that because you're on BookTube, that the publishers are just gonna love you and they're gonna want to work with you. That's a huge misconception that I thought of right from the beginning. I think maybe in the secular sort of realm, there's a lot more BookTube publisher relation. And I think that a lot of the higher publishers look at these booktubers as now a form of advertisement that they didn't before, and I think that's changing. That kind of segues into the next question, which is, how do you think BookTube has changed since you started? And I think that that value, they're starting to realize the value of BookTube and what it brings to the readers. In niche things like Christian BookTube, I haven't seen that. It's kind of sad to see, because I think that I was building up a lot of momentum in order to get that out there, to be like, yes, let's bring more Christian content out there for people. Let's bring the awareness that there is, like, you know, an equivalent of the secular books in Christian reading, and that if you're struggling as a Christian and you don't want to read the secular books, then you have these options that they're just as good. Kind of like back in the day.
Like, I'm aging myself right now. I guess it's perfect for the oldie tag, but
back in the day when Christian music started coming out, Christian rock and Christian rap and all these things, they were looked at, like, down upon as if they weren't going to be as good as the secular music out there. And now things like NF, who is extremely good and extremely popular, he is a Christian artist. So, or different other artists, the similar, that ended up being super popular and super well known worldwide. The comparison, I think, in books as well, that people would have that misconception that books of Christian content are not good. I think that that is something I was hoping would have changed more so now, and I've seen a little bit of that, but it's really not to the extent I was hoping for at the time where I had to take a sabbatical from Christian BookTube. The one great change I have seen though is that more people are joining it, and that is something that's amazing, and I hope that continues. I really do. I'm specifically talking about the Christian community of BookTube. That is something that I am so happy about, that more people are joining, because there was this you know, if you didn't just do YA or you didn't just do fantasy, then you wouldn't be popular, or all of these things. But there's more of a diverse, eclectic community of readers and booktubers, and that's something I really enjoy, and I love the fact that it's changed, which has kind of opened the door to Christian content as being BookTube. More people are kind of putting themselves out there to create content that has Christian books included, like Haley Pham. She is so sweet and so wonderful. I love her videos, and she also includes her faith in her stuff, and she's extremely popular, and she's reading books of all genres, but she includes Christian content in there, and I really appreciate that, because she does it in a way that people can accept it and value it, as well as the other content. And she's very careful about her thresholds of her convictions, and you see that in her. So that she's creating this community that's going to be very well taken to Christian content. I specifically stick to a lot of just Christian, unless it's mystery or different things that are clean, and I know that they're clean. I like clean content, but specifically Christian. So that's what you'll find on my BookTube channel. But I'm happy to see that there's more of an acceptance, more of an opening conversation around different books, including Christian content. So that is something that I'm so excited about, and that I'm so thankful, and it's kind of opened a door to more people joining the community, and that's incredible. That is exactly why I started this channel in the first place. Number 4 is, what is your favorite memory of BookTube? I have to say my favorite memory is meeting Melanie Dickerson, for one. She's my favorite author. And so I met her online when we did a interview with her. I was so giddy and so hyper to meet her that I was like pretty much yelling into the camera the entire time, which is so embarrassing. And I wasn't understanding what she was saying half the time, because I was just so excited, and I wasn't picking up on communication cues because I was just way too overwhelmed. That was a huge moment for me. Being interviewed as an author through BookTube was wonderful. And then my biggest highlight was meeting Angela from Coffee and Chapters, who's gone to be with the Lord. That was super fun. So I've always wanted to build the friendship in the community. I am such a community person, so like I actually really want to meet all of the booktubers out there if I can. To have actual relationships with these people is my favorite memory of all. Currently, we have a group of girls. We call ourselves the BookTube Besties, and so yeah, I love that community. They're so wonderful, and then hopefully I can meet some of them. That would be super fun. Maybe do some collab videos. Who knows? Number 5, what are some of the books that you were introduced to from BookTube? There's a ton. I think I've answered this before at some point, but I would say Nadine Brandy's, her original series before she made Fox, and that one actually wasn't my favorite, to be very honest with you. It was actually very tiring for the reader to read. It was exhausting for the reader, but that series kind of broke her into fantasy and YA, and so I'm so thankful for it. And through BookTube is actually where I found her. Also, Sarah Ella's work. I was introduced to her stories and books through BookTube as well. It's been a huge influence on my reading, and kind of pushed me outside of my box sometimes for content that I would read, and that's been successful sometimes, not so successful sometimes, but overall I'm so glad to try different things. It's always fun to try different things and see if I like them, because you just never know. But meeting them and seeing them on BookTube is extremely fun, and that's how I was introduced to those two girls. Number 6, what is something that frustrates you about BookTube? Well, I've already talked a little bit about some of the industry sort of things, and maybe giving more value to content creators on BookTube. I think that there needs to be work on that. These publishing houses, a lot of them own the smaller Christian companies, and they still aren't really working with that niche, and I find that really interesting. Who knows what the future holds, and I kind of hope that there is some sort of relationship that's built between booktubers in the Christian genre and the publishing houses. The thing that I am kind of frustrated about, especially, and I'm coming from the Christian perspective, is the bash on Christian books in general, like romance or anything to do with bashing Christian content. I think that that's very frustrating because I'm really trying hard, and there's so many people trying hard to build a community that values Christian content. So there's this fine balance of finding good content to encourage people to read. We almost like are the vetters for that content. I know that these books get vetted through agents, and then they go through the editing process, and then the publishers have to agree with it or not agree with it, and there's a whole vetting process to get a book out there. But I'm talking about the vetting for the actual readers who are buying and purchasing these books and who are influencing the readership and the communities that are buying and purchasing these books. We're kind of like the filtration for that. Don't think it's our job to bash on these writers or authors. I know how hard it is to write a book. This is where the fine lines happen, because you want to sell a book, you want it sellable, but what's buying may not fit your standards of Christianity. This is a huge problem that obviously the publishers also face, and this is why some of the books that technically we don't want to be consuming as Christian content is coming to us. I think our value as BookTube content creators is really high when it comes to this area, and I think the responsibility for us as Christian creators is to vet these books, but in a good way. So I'm not for bashing. I don't mind stating how I feel about books and things like that, but to like come against whole genres of like Christian romance and just cutting it all off, like it's all bad, to hop onto those bandwagons, I feel is kind of doing it an injustice. That's frustrating for me, because I feel like we're coming against something that's there that shouldn't be there. Just coming against the culture of bashing in general, and I feel like the responsibility for us to, yeah, just maybe come at it a different way. Maybe come at it a different angle, and maybe think a little bit more with elegance or etiquette and respect for those that are really trying hard to work hard. We want to encourage people to be reading content that is Christian. Onus is on us to make sure that we are providing a positive review on the books that can be read. And I think it's on us to make sure that we are being respectful, but standing true to our convictions and what we want to read as Christian readers and Christian writers and Christian content creators. Actually kind of hard to talk about, but I'm learning also not to be afraid to say how I really feel about things. I don't usually say anything. This is the first time I've really said anything actually at all. I want to give respect to people, but if I'm going to answer this question honestly, that is how I feel about it, and I hope that it changes, and I'm gonna hopefully be a part of that change. I just wanted to hop on here really quickly because I was doing the edits and I thought to myself, you know, I don't think I said that really well. What I'm talking about is just my thoughts on maybe focusing on more of like the positive side of things instead of the negative. And so I used the example of Christian romance as being kind of the thing that got a lot of flack over the years in the last little bit here. And basically I just want to clarify, because my camera was acting up and I don't know what I said or didn't say, but I just wanted to have this in here. I wanted to say that I want my channel to focus on, you know, what everything's lovely, what everything's pure, whatever's of a good report. And I don't want to focus on the things that are pulling us apart or pulling away from the gospel message in Christian books. I want to highlight My channel, I want to highlight what is good and what is great to read and what is actually going to benefit the community. And that's kind of why I first started YouTube in the first place. And so that was my heart. That is what I was trying to say. Like I said, I'm not a great person at speaking, especially off the top of my head, and I really was coming off the top of my head on that one. And I just want to clarify so that you guys understand what I was actually trying to say in that video. I want it to be something great and something that unifies us and something that I want to just touch on, but I don't want to stay. Let's just keep moving on and making a great community for Christian readers with great books to talk about. Thanks, guys. And the last question is, what is your hope for the future of BookTube? I think I've kind of touched on that a little bit throughout this video already, but my hope is that there's more of an acceptance, more respect, more love and kindness that's coming out of our videos, but also just more booktubers out there. I love seeing so many booktubers, and they all have their own taste, and there's people that I'm watching and I'm like, wow, I've never heard of that author before. I had no idea about this, or I had no idea about that. And so it's really interesting to me because I can glean from so many different people. So if there's more booktubers out there, there's more content that we can like learn from and glean from each other. So I'm so excited about that. That is definitely one thing I really am hoping for more of in the future. I'm also looking forward to meetups and relationships. The community is amazing, especially for the Christian content. It's so good. I love the support that everyone gives and just loves on each other. Like, I love that so much, and encourages each other. And I want that to continue, because elegant women, they encourage each other and they just want to build each other up, and there's not this jealousy of I need to be better than that person, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. I think being original and you just being yourself is so amazing, and that is what we're coming to each video for, is you. I'm hoping for more of that, like, and just more encouragement, and I've not been disappointed at all in this area. I have like no doubt in my mind that we're gonna get even more of that in the future, so I'm so excited about that. So basically that is it for this video. I hope this wasn't too heavy on the negatives. I hate talking about negatives. But to celebrate 6 years of being on BookTube, I want to give away this book. It's called Dauntless, and the author is Dina Slayman. It's book 1 in the Valiant Hearts. I made sure you guys got book 1. I loved this book so much, and this character, she is so sweet. Her name is Lady Mary Ellison, and she fights for the innocent. And that's kind of what I feel like we're doing on BookTube a little bit. Fighting for the small guys, fighting for like the Christian content, and you know, just standing up for those things. I think Dauntless is a great book to give away for this video in celebration of 6 years being on BookTube. Thank you for watching this tag. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you haven't seen my last video, you can check it out, where I talk about eating candies and pairing them with books. There is also a book giveaway on that one. At the end of all of these videos, I'm going to be doing the giveaway actually for each of them and making a video of that. So look out for that video at the end of all these BookTube giveaway parts series. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching this content. Thank you for being with me over the years. And I just want to say how much I appreciate you guys so much. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.